Okay, so today we're going to be talk about an analysis on SOFI technologies. SOFI technologies. And certainly the weekly time frame, because there's too little information on the daily time frame. SOFI technologies is a recently new company, a relatively new company with its, I suppose, its initial public offering being on December 2020. So it's only been active it's only been traded for about the past five years, approaching 6 years now since we're in 2026. So, as usual, we'll start by identifying our support and resistance levels. As I prefer to call them, zones. When you do them on the monthly, weekly, and daily time frame, I prefer to call them zones rather than simply support and resistance levels. Because in actuality, support and resistance levels act like zones. Zones act like support and resistance levels. They're actually the same thing. But I prefer to call them zones when they're on higher time frames. Just to keep in mind that if you see a weekly zone or a daily zone on the 4-hour time frame, you should not be looking at it as a single line on the chart. You should be looking at it as a range that price responds to. For example, if I were to draw it like this, I will probably have something more like this, because you can see that price was through its price found resistance inside. But you get the point. But I don't like drawing rectangular things on my chart, because when you go down to the lower time frame, they become too large and it becomes clunky and annoying. So I just prefer to draw a line and call it a weekly zone, and then I use the closest psychological levels to those weekly zones as the barriers to hold as the upper and lower limits of those zones. So we have that weekly zone here. Obviously, it's the weekly zone because price found support, and we also found support again for passing through. We have that weekly zone here. It's about the lowest point that price has gotten to. It's actually a zone here, but the zone was violated, but then price came to give it some respect. So we have a weekly zone here. Now let's go down to the daily time frame. Let me do the same thing again. Okay, but before we go down to the daily time frame, I can actually draw a trend line across these points like this. This will be our weekly trend line. So we can already basically see our trend region is here. But let's try and identify our zones first. Actually, I have a zone here, but it's so far from the recent price action that's kind of one thing that is quite enjoying itself. But still not still have a zone here. I have a zone here. And we have a zone there. I should want to draw a zone here for prices being violated. What's more is actually I can draw a downward trend line across these 2 points like so. You can see that the downward trend line is in direct conflict with the the daily trend line is in direct conflict with the weekly trend line. Usually the higher time frame trend line would take priority. Usually the higher time frame will take priority. Oh, this is also a triangle pattern. And a triangle pattern, this is actually a triangle chart pattern. And a triangle chart pattern is usually a continuation pattern, but it's also very easy for it to also be a reversal pattern. It actually goes both ways. A triangle pattern is one of those patterns that can go both ways. But in my experience, not only does it usually act as a continuation pattern, we also have a weekly zone here. So the higher the time frame, the higher the stronger the zone. And like I said before, the weekly zone is not simply a line. It is more a region of price action. So this is what we would actually have. This is where our weekly zone actually is, this square box. Something like this. Something like this is where our weekly zone is, and as you can see, you can actually draw a daily zone here. You can see that price has, if you look closely, you can see that price has bounced off of this level multiple times. This is a daily zone. So if I were to bet, I would sooner bet that price will buy upwards from this point. I would sooner bet that price will not be able to break this daily zone. The best I should expect is that price can press into it. So this is the lowest point that price has been. So I'll make sure my stop loss is wider than that. So this is essentially my expectation right now, because there's a triangle pattern here. I'm not even marked out my market structure, but there's a triangular pattern here, which can either be confirmation pattern or reversal pattern. But because of this weekly zone, which holds more resistance power than the daily zone, I sooner believe that price will go up than go down. So yeah. Okay, so let's identify our daily zone now. This is our, I said daily zone, this is our trend origin. The reason why we identify it on the daily time frame is because I typically trade on the 1 hour time frame. So that's the best region for me to draw it. You can actually draw your trend origin on the weekly time frame, or even on the 4 hours or 1 hour time frame. For those who trade on the 15-minute time frame, drawing the trend origin on the 1 hour or 4 hour time frame would make more sense. Anyways, impulsive, correctional. Then we have an impulsive all the way over here, a correctional, impulsive, a correctional, an impulsive, okay, no. I made a mistake there. Impulsive, correctional, impulsive, correctional, impulsive, correctional, impulsive, correctional. This should be an impulsive to be followed by a correctional, followed by an impulsive, followed by a correctional, followed by another impulsive. As you can see, price has not closed below this level. Although at this point, you can see that price came very low and close to this level, even passed through it. But it only passed through it with candlestick wick and not with body, meaning that the zone is still valid. Okay, so now let's identify our swing highs and swing lows. Well, we'll focus on our swing lows because price is already in a correctional phase. So we're simply looking for an indicator to tell us that price is switching from a correctional phase to an impulsive phase. So let's identify our swing lows. So we have swing low here. We have a swing low here. We have a swing low here. And then our most recent swing low is right here. So let's delete this. Now zooming in, you can see price did not actually manage to close below this swing low with body. I mean, it did sharp, but it's very, very slight. So now we'll go down to the 4 hour time frame and we'll see if we can spot any pattern here. I'll see if we can spot any patterns that appear before price switches from an impulsive phase we'll see if we can spot any patterns that appear before price switch from a correctional phase to an impulsive phase. So at the trend origin, we actually have a W pattern around about here. That's essentially what starts this new trend. It's not very clear, but we can actually see a fairly wide W pattern here. But even more than that, we can also see a W pattern appears here. If you've been watching the videos I've been posting, you might be wondering why am I only ever spotting W patterns? Truth be told, W patterns are basically what I focus on among every other pattern that can be spotted. Focus on W patterns a lot. So I think they are just easier for me to spot. But at the same time, they also appear in price very, very frequently, be it in stocks, in currency pairs, even in cryptocurrencies. Okay, so we have a W pattern here as well. It's very easy to spot W patterns when you use the line chart. So we have a W pattern here. We even have another one here. You can see this is a W pattern that was followed up by another W. Let's go down to I draw this here. So we have another W pattern here. You can see that the W pattern appeared here. Another W pattern appeared here, which was the start of this impulsive move. This does not count as a W pattern, but here we have a W pattern. So, but the thing is that this looks like a W pattern. You have 1, 2, and the price comes here to make it look more like a triple bottom than a W pattern. But why do I still count as a W pattern? Because if you pay attention, let's use this line. Let's change the color of the line to green to make it more obvious. Okay, so notice that price closes at almost exactly the same level here, which makes this basically a perfect W pattern. But then for this third line, you see that price is slightly higher. So if I bring it up like this now, this is what you'll notice. You'll notice that these two legs are on almost exactly the same spot. They close at almost exactly the same spot. But this third leg comes almost as low, but does not get quite as low before going up. So that lets you know that this was a retest of the pattern. So anyways, we have a W pattern here. Leading up to this impulsive move. So quite clearly and quite obviously, what we are going to be looking for is a W pattern. The minute we can spot a W pattern, let's just see here, then we'll jump in on this trade with full confidence. The minute we spot a W pattern. So that's it for top to bottom analysis on SOFI Technologies Incorporated. That's it for top to bottom analysis on SOFI Technologies Limited.